We are here, everybody.
We're in it.
We are here. So, Corin, here's what I got for you today. I got a little bit of sour cream.
Oh, man.
Bitch.
That
And I also got
super throwback.
extra cheddar goldfish. Look. Am
Am I plugged in? There we go. Nah.
You don't like the extra cheddar goldfish?
You should have reversed that. You should have put the goldfish first and then finished with the Ridge sour cream.
I like them. I have to say, they're both wrestling for my attention at the moment. Like, every now and then, one will peek out ahead, and then the other one will be like, no, it's me. And I just keep going back and forth on some 50-50 shit.
Well, you really like the cheddar sour cream chips, which I don't really like. So that's almost what that...
How do you not like those?
I like them, but I've told people before, when you get down to the end of the bag, it's like you sort of get nauseous a little bit. Like when you first take like the first couple bites compared to your last bites are drastically different. Like your first bite is like, holy shit, I never want to eat anything else ever again in my life. Like, and then when you get to the end, you're like, these sort of are making me nauseous a little bit. That's how the cheddar sour cream tastes to me. But those Ridge sour cream, game changer. Those are banging. And especially when they throw that oversized like $2 sticker on there, it's just unnecessary because usually the price is like imprinted on the top right corner. Is the price in the top right corner? Usually it'll say like $2.49 up there.
No, not on this one.
Oh, no. In like what's the little silver writing? Just like the date?
Yeah, it says November 16th, 2020.
Yeah, like anybody even would look at that. Like, would those shits really... Here's my thing. There's some shit that doesn't really expire. Like, if you go into your medicine cabinet and you've got a diesel-ass headache and you see some Tylenol, but that shit says, like, 2000... If I saw, like, 2011 on it, I'd be suspect a little bit.
That is pretty old.
Yeah, but if I saw, like... I'm trying to give a reasonable date here because, like...
2018.
I was going to go back to like 2014 and I'd probably still take 2 of those pills.
You know, you're not making a bad point. Like, there are certain things that everybody kind of looks at it, and if it's expired, nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like, yes, if I tell you I got a bag of Lay's potato chips from 1985, you're going to be like...
I don't know. I still might eat those shits because Lay's potato chips, I'd be like, how could that go bad?
Damn, 1985, dog? That's older than us.
85 is extreme.
That's older than us.
That's like extreme. But I wouldn't hit you.
2007.
Whatever's in that drink looks good as fuck. It's like some purple, and you got the perfect amount of ice cubes in there.
Crystal Light. It's Crystal Light with water. Yeah. I ran out of big seltzer today.
Damn, that looks like a diesel glass, and it looks cold. It looks like the ice has been sitting in there for the perfect amount of time. So, like, the outside of your cup is now sweating, and your shit is just, oh, damn, you're sort of freaking it tonight. Like, you're going to pull out, like a N64 or some shit in your right hand in a second and just be like, oh, damn.
This reminds me of that commercial with the Sunny D where there's, like, purple stuff there, too, and the purple stuff looks delicious. And I think, like, Chappelle had a joke about it where he's like, there's one black kid in the group, and when they're, like, asking, hey, who wants this? Who wants this? Who wants the purple stuff? You see the black kid wants the purple stuff and not the Sunny D. But, like, that's me. I'm that kid because anytime I see, you're the same because you just saw the pink and you were like, damn, that shit has to be delicious. This could be straight up Windex, and you'd be like, I don't care. It's delicious.
Yep. I'd be like, let me get a sip. I think it's also I just went for a run. I've been on my shit, and I had a protein shake.
What was it, like vanilla?
No, I have ice, do milk, a scoop. The protein is cinnamon crunch.
That sounds probably pretty good, no?
Super banging.
Is it muscle milk or no?
No, it's I wish I knew the company name, but nobody drinks protein who listens to this shit, so it's not like.
There'd be plenty of people who watch this probably work out and have protein shakes and stuff.
You think so? Hold on, I can get it in 2 seconds.
Working out is sort of common, like. I mean, I can't imagine that like my audience, our audience, which is over. What'd you say?
Is this like the company? Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the flavor.
You can't go wrong with Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Super. It's like youaretheanswer.com. Super banging. And it's like, it's got actual like chunks in it. Like it's like you're eating cereal, like the crispiness to it.
Yeah, but the chunks might throw me off a little bit. Like, I sort of just want a smooth drink. I don't want to have like something where I gotta like maybe chew it a little.
You don't like that? Like the little ice like chips a little bit? I see that's
No, if it's ice, maybe not bad, but if it's a chunk of some other stuff.
No. It's not like a chunk of some other stuff. It's like more to the lines of like a little like icy. Like
okay, that's fine.
It's like a little molecule.
Yeah, that's not okay. I was thinking something else. I was thinking like the powder itself was like chunky.
That would be so OD.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it brought me back to my protein days, man. And it's like I was looking at old photos, and I was
saying you got to find an excuse to tweet these pictures that you sent me because Corin sent me these pictures. This was back when, because I tweeted the one you tweeted it and I retweeted it. You and me doing karaoke back in the day.
We were brolic.
Everybody was saying underneath. First of all, your fade was on point, so congrats on that.
We were talking about our head shapes, and I've been told my head looks like one of those like 1980s TVs that has the shit that comes out the back like super hard.
Yeah, but I got the back shit too. Like it does. Everybody's got a little knob on the top back of their head. If your shit is totally flat, that would look weird.
Yeah, and having kids now, I think a lot of it. I don't know how much depends on like. So Molly gets me pretty not nervous, but like is very cautious about like how long you keep your baby in like a seat because their head can start molding and it can get flat and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that affects like when someone has a flat head or like if someone has a round head, do their parents do a good job of keeping them off their heads?
It might have some impact. Like, I have the same thing as you, like the top part of my head. It's very like rounded, it's like the top back of my head is thick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so yeah, there's nothing wrong with your head. You always say that there's something, and you say there's something wrong with the way the sideburns come down or whatever, but I don't see anything wrong with that either. But anyway, so your fade was on point in this old picture, and I looked like I was on steroids. And people were even saying it in the comments, like, what on earth? I looked jacked. I was huge.
But you were drinking protein and stuff back then, right? And like working out hard.
Crazy. Yeah, and I was drinking protein. Yeah, of course. But you sent me some other pictures of you, like legit in the gym, at the beach, and you OD had a six-pack, number one. You were ripped, but then also you did have some mass, like chest, arms, like you had mass too.
Yeah.
So, and you definitely saw your old self and got inspired, because the first thing I did, I sent it to my sister, the picture of you and me doing the karaoke. I sent it to my sister. I sent it to my mom, and I was like, do you ever remember me being that jacked? And every single one of them was like, no.
Really?
I don't. Yes, every one of them was like, I had never had any idea you were that jacked. I look like Ronnie from Jersey Shore. People joke around and call me Paulie D, but in that picture, I look like Ronnie from Jersey Shore. I was big.
Yeah. But I mean, to their defense, that was such a blip on their radar of like years knowing you for them to be like.
If you do the math on it, because I maybe for 3 years of my life I was that big.
That's why I'm always so skeptical, and I always talk about this for anybody that remembers like a specific memory, unless it was some vivid shit, like if someone got killed right in front of you or something like that, or like just something OD, or like a milestone wedding or something, you'll remember that day. But just a random occurrence, if you remember like years back, I don't believe anybody when they say that they remember that day, because there's so much shit that happened after that for you to remember what went on that day. You're lying to yourself, and you're lying, like you're making up a little, like you're making up a little bit of what went on that day.
I just get flashes. I have a terrible memory now. When I
Mhm.
was younger, I had a steel trap memory. I could remember anything. But then I hit a certain age and it all went away. Like I just didn't have that good memory anymore. But now I get like little flashes of like little things here and there. But I can never, it's always too hard to think. Like try to imagine, like you were saying, like a full day from back in the day. That's not possible. It's just, it meshes together all the normal stuff you do, you know?
You know what makes me like take pause for a second is like, so I've been running, every day. I've been doing a mile, and every day I gradually get a little bit faster, and I'm building up my like endurance and shit like that. And you work out, you get stronger. Like, if I were to do crossword puzzles every single day or do some type of shit for my mind, like, could I get smarter? I mean, like, you can train your mind to like, be smarter too. I mean, obviously that, people read books, they have, I don't know, they're
Yeah,
more
I mean,
intelligent.
yeah, I mean, I think that you have a baseline and then you have, a potential peak performance for everything. And generally, the more you do something, the better you're going to get at that thing, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, maybe you'd be using your memory more and getting better with your memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like expanding knowledge, yeah, the more you read, the more you're going to expand your knowledge. But, it's just a matter of what do you value enough to put in that much time and that much effort, because you
I
really
mean, like
can.
you work your mind out every day because you're constantly answering questions. You're constantly like talking to people. But how does, like reading or doing something else or playing chess work out a different mind muscle than just waking up and going about your daily life? Like even watching TV is sort of working out your mind because you're processing what's happening on the TV, whether or not it's like some dumb shit or not.
Audio and visual learners really do get almost like looked down upon. Like people who read stuff. Well, I guess that's visual, right?
Yeah.
Um, People who read stuff, they're looked at as like, oh, those are the intelligent people because they're learning through reading. But if you take in the same material and you take it in through an audiobook or you take it in through a podcast or you take it in through a History Channel documentary, for some reason people don't look at that like even if you retain the information, that's not viewed as intelligent. But it really is. As long as that knowledge is getting in your head and you understand it and you grasp it and you can recite some of it or whatever, then that's no different than the person who sat down and read a textbook. You know
Or
what I
even
mean?
watching TV. I mean, like there's such a like negative connotation with watching TV. And I mean, I get it. You don't want to get addicted to TV, but at the end of the day, how is that any different from reading a book or some shit like that?
Well, if you're just watching like stupid reality shows, then that's obviously not educational. If you're watching Honey Boo Boo, which obviously isn't on anymore, but that's not educational. But yeah, if you're watching stuff that actually educates you, then of course it's educational.
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring up the addiction thing because I've made this point before, and maybe it's not the right way to make the point. Like it might be controversial the way I say it, but I'm like pro addiction in some instances. Like I think it gets a bad rap, addiction and obsession, because you look at the best at anything in the world and they were obsessed with whatever that thing is that they're the best at.
Yeah.
Somebody who's great at chess was obsessed with chess, is obsessed with chess, and they play it all day, every day. Somebody who's the best tennis player in the world, they were obsessed with tennis and they played it all day, every day. Like, in order to be the best at something, anything, you're going to be obsessed with it and you're going to dedicate virtually all your time to it, almost to the exclusion of things in your personal life and your
That's what
private
I'm saying.
life.
Like that's where I think like people get upset is when it starts hindering other factors of your life. Like
It's only a problem if it gets in the way of stuff that are responsibilities that you already have. But if you're somebody who dedicates yourself to anything early on and you don't have other responsibilities, then there's
yeah,
nothing
I mean,
wrong
I
with
think
that.
that's I think it's very few. Like there's fewer people. I mean, like I think you're what's an anomaly. Is that like is that
That's what you're trying to say.
like you're single. You're focused on your craft. You're super dedicated to it. No kids, no wife, nothing like that. Whereas like someone like Tiger Woods, as addicted as he was to his craft, he still had a family and obligations to abide, by, I guess, in society's world. And, that's why
Yeah, but
people got so mad at him, because they were like,
no, but the
hey, you could be addicted.
problem was that he got married, Corin. That was the problem. If he was having sex with all those women and he wasn't married, nobody would have said anything. Everybody would have been like, he's a bachelor. He's doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, I guess so. And I mean, that goes to marriage. And I mean, like, I don't know what the main goal of marriage was back in the day. And like, I think it was for like, it probably was for like women back in the day to have some security,
Way back in the day, it was literally almost like a business. Like you made deals to acquire more land and more property.
With your wife?
Yes, back in the day, first of all, even this notion of like picking your mate, that's a new thing. Like historically, it does not work like that. It works like, and we
Even
still
here
many
in
places,
America, not like you're talking about like some arranged marriage shits.
I'm talking way before America even existed. Like marriage, the idea of marriage being something where you pick your mate, that's a relatively new thing historically, because previously it was more arranged marriages. And even today,
even with animals, don't they mate with like tons of other like animals?
yeah, that's what's called polyamory, where it's like technically human beings are polyamorous too. But we have this thing called marriage where, you basically have one person but like the idea of doing it for love is also a new thing. Like back in the day, it wasn't viewed as like you marry this one person who you love. There were many more arranged things, and it had a lot more to do with, property rights, for example. So back in the day, women weren't allowed to inherit property. They weren't allowed to do it. So you want to find somebody for, let's say you're a guy and you only have a daughter, you don't have a son. You want to find a mate for your daughter who, is worthy of you transferring the property, because she can't just take it, because women don't have any property rights. You know what I mean? Like
that's some deep shit.
Yeah, marriage, the way we think of marriage now wasn't always like this. Like this is actually a relatively new thing. And then obviously when you go back to the hunter-gatherer days, what you just described with animals was what the case was in the hunter-gatherer days, where you had like groups and you'd have, basically almost not everybody screwing each other in the groups, but like, yeah, you'd have, usually it's the guy and then a bunch of women who he would mate with. And if they had kids, it would be like a group effort to raise them. This is back in the hunter-gatherer days.
Well, I feel like the guys were looked at as like the ones who are out getting the food and keeping people alive. So like, the women,
and the women would nurture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the way it was in like the hunter-gatherer days. So
I also think women are wired differently, where they're cool with having one spouse and that being the end all be all.
Surprised, man. You'd be surprised. Okay, so these conversations are difficult for a number of reasons, because it's hard.
I'm a married man, so if I say the wrong
thing. No, that's not why they're difficult. They're difficult because it's hard to determine exactly what things are nurture and what things are nature. Yeah. Like what things are just hardwired into us, where it's like we have no choice. We're basically a slave to our primitive selves. Like what's that, and what is like culture and society, and like this is just how we do it, but it's possible to change it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's always hard to discuss like what are the roles, how much of gender roles is total BS, because some percentage of it is total BS. Like here's an interesting thing. A lot of the things that we view as typically masculine and feminine are like totally made up. So here's one. High heels. Did you know that started with like male warriors who were wearing them to ride horses, and it's the kind of shoes that would lock in when you ride the horse. And so high heels used to be viewed as a very masculine thing, and then at some point it flipped, and high heels are now a very feminine thing. So there's nothing written in the laws of nature that says high heels are inherently feminine. They started as a very masculine thing. Another thing is blue and pink. We think of blue as a masculine color, pink as a feminine color. Used to be the opposite. Another thing is dresses. There's like photos of like FDR when he was a kid, his parents dressed him in a dress because that's just something that they did with little boys even back then. So a dress is not anything that's inherently feminine either. So there are plenty of things that we think of as like typically masculine or feminine that are basically just totally made up by society that we've just like adopted it. But are there things that go beyond that that are not just like made up, that are, you know, maybe a typical masculine trait versus a feminine trait? Sure. Do I know what those are? Not really. I mean, I think it's fair to say that men on average are a lot stronger than women.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we have more
like,
testosterone, we have more fast twitch muscle fiber. So those things, of course, exist. But what else is there? I don't know. And in terms of, it gets really complicated when you talk about what we're talking about here, which is like marriage and sexual relationships, because I reckon there are plenty of women out there that if you ask them, they will say like, no, I really, you know, I'm happy with the idea of monogamy. That's totally fine for me and it makes sense. And then there's probably other women where you talk to them and they're like, no, I actually have the same like polyamorous urges as like a man does, where, you know, I would have no problem being with multiple, you know, men or whatever it might be. So,
yeah, it's
difficult.
Yeah, it is. The thing that I get caught up with is like arranged marriages. And I saw that there was a show on I think it was HBO I watched. It was like a Hasidic Jewish family, and she escaped to Europe or something like that, because she was getting set up in this arranged marriage. And like in the Hasidic Jews, that's still done today, arranged marriages. And
it's done more than in just the Hasidic Jewish community. It's done in a bunch of different communities.
Oh, it is?
It's not uncommon. Yeah, arranged marriages are not uncommon.
And I just don't understand how that's like what the reasoning behind it is. Like, just how it's still a thing. Like, how is that still allowed? You know? And I know, like, like the government intervenes in like, you know, wars and does all this shit overseas, but like, how is that not something that is just like canceled, stopped? I mean, like, is that spoken about more than I'm thinking right now? Like, are we trying to get rid of arranged marriages?
No,
if not, I'll start a petition. And
nobody's trying to really abolish them, but here, let's read a little bit about it. So, Wikipedia, always trusty, says,
are you still on Wikipedia, by the way?
I have no idea. I haven't checked in a long time.
Well, fuck them.
But yeah, they did pull me down a while ago because
I didn't know if they officially pulled you down or not.
No, they had pulled me down because there's some editor who doesn't like me, and he just like basically came up with a BS reason to pull me down. And I haven't checked if I'm back on yet though.
Of some online shit. The way that the world is going with popular people, they're like, no. We have to have George Washington on our page. And people are just like, no one wants to read about that motherfucker anymore.
All right, hold on. Let's go back to arranged marriages. I want to dive into this. Arranged marriage is a type of marital union where the bride and groom are selected by the family, particularly by family members such as the parents. In some cultures, a professional matchmaker may be used to find a spouse for a young person. Arranged marriages have historically been prominent in many cultures. The practice remains common in many regions, notably South Asia, so like India, though in many other parts of the world, the practice has declined substantially during the 19th and 20th centuries. There are several subcategories of arranged marriage. Forced marriages, practiced in some cultures, are condemned by the United Nations. The specific subcategory of forced child marriage is especially condemned. In other cultures, people mostly choose their own partner. So yeah, like there's instances of arranged marriages that there is like leeway. It's not totally forced. So let's see if we could find some more interesting stuff on this.
That shit seems forced as fuck. From what I saw on the show is like they know the families of, you know, that they're bringing over to have dinner.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say is that, so what if it's a situation where they arrange it, they set it up, but you still kind of get like a first date type thing to figure out. Like if they do it arranged, but there's still some degree of choice, then that doesn't strike me as terrible. But if it's forced, then that's just terrible.
It's still bad. It's still like your mom saying like, hey, Patty's got a daughter. You should go on a date with her. And it's just like, Mom, you don't know what type of, like, I want some, like, I'm not even going to say some shit, but like, I don't want your friend with that daughter, you know, like, and go on a date with her because you guys play, you know, Mancala together or some shit. Like, I want to find my own girl.
You know how it would work is one set of parents would talk to another set of parents, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, our kids would be so great together."
Yes. People say it, exactly. Like, and then you got to listen to your mom and dad tell you like, you got to go on a date with her, and then you got to go bowling with some girl who's probably, she might be cool. It might work. Yes, it might work, but like, that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to find the person on your own.
That's a new thing, though. I'm telling you, that's new. So they say that in China, arranged marriages were the norm before the mid-20th century, and a marriage was a negotiation and a decision between parents and the older members of two families, like we were just saying. So yes, a lot of this, Corin, has to do with like property rights, and it has to do with like class and where you view yourself. Like in India, there's still a caste system, and so you're not supposed to marry outside of your caste. So let's read a little bit about that, the caste system, because this is very interesting.
It's so bugged out how every like every ethnicity, every culture has like their own, their own thing, their own way of making food, their own, style. They do their hair, their own, dance moves.
But see, I'm not a cultural relativist, which means I'm not the kind of person to throw my hands up and say like it's all equal, because I don't think that makes sense. I do think you can make judgments as to what is better and not better. But in some instances, you run the risk of like being called a bigot if you end up criticizing a culture that's primarily people of color.
Yeah.
Because then people will say like, who are you to judge them? You're just a white dude in a rich country. So like, shut up. They just do it differently. But I would argue that like, and I don't know how common this is these days, but like arranged child marriages, it's like, no, I'm going to judge that. I'm going to judge that. And I don't care
I'm
what you call me.
100% going to judge that. If anybody else were to say like, no, like there's people that just want to say no and just want to say but to anything you say. So like
all the time.
I'm not a big Facebook like debater, Facebook like back and forther, but the whole thing with rest in peace to that young boy who passed away. It was like a young white kid that got killed, and there was all these these memes going around saying the guy who killed him, where the parades and all the protests for like the young white kid. And I got into a thing on Facebook, and the majority of everybody, like the post, it was Rogue DNC on Instagram posted it, and it was like a cartoon meme. And it was like some MAGA Trump looking character. And it said like, where's the protest for this kid? And it was like a little puppy dog in the next frame. And it was like, did they arrest the guy who murdered him? And it was like, yes. He's like, is he going away to jail? And he was like, yeah, for life. He's like, so why would you need a protest? And then in the last frame is the guy just standing there. And I put that up on my Facebook. And the majority of everybody like was liking it, showing love. Because I usually don't post shit, but that one, like, I sort of felt like I felt that one. And there's just still some people that'll be like, but why would you, like, there should be no rebuttal to some shit. Like, sometimes there's just not like other side to an argument.
No, that's exactly true. And I have a story on that. I'll never forget this. I was in college. It was a sociology class. Mm-hmm. And I had made a comment that like if a hurricane hits, I want to be in a building that has building codes. I want to be in a country that has building codes and regulations, because that's the only way to make sure that the building's strong enough to withstand like the hurricane force winds or whatever. And people got mad at me, and they were like, nah, because these countries, even if they don't have building codes, they've been around for a hot minute, and so they know like how to protect themselves type stuff. And I was like, you're just saying that because you want to try to argue that like, America has to be worse than these other countries. But like, there are instances of things where no, we actually do it better in some ways. I'm the first to criticize us when we do something wrong all the time. Like, I never bite my tongue about this shit that we do that's wrong ever. But like, why would you argue on that point? Why would you try to tell me that some country, some like tiny Caribbean island country that has a really tiny GDP and like almost no built infrastructure, like they're going to do better in a hurricane? But
I mean, we've seen footage of shit just getting slaughtered. And I mean, like, they're in the heart of the storm. And with all due respect to some of those Caribbean islands, I've seen in DR, motherfuckers build some buildings that like I'm like, damn, that shit, like you
That's what I'm
can't
saying.
move some shit. Like this shit is, you're like, yo, can we break down this wall? And they're like, they put that shit in with some cement that's like some next level shit. Like, so sometimes their engineering is on some like OD shit that like you can't even maneuver around any of like the work they've done. But then also it's probably not up to like code and regulation and, you know, standards and all that shit just because they probably just eyeballed how to do it.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't know. I fuck with the other side of that argument where like the U.S. has to like abide by all these restrictions and all this shit that like.
Well, we're actually a bad example on the regulation front because we usually have terrible regulations. But like most developed countries have good regulations, and I'd rather be in a very developed country with high standards and strong regulations compared to any country that does not have building codes. Like building codes are really important. Yeah. So they were just arguing to argue. That gets back to your point, though. Like, no, there was no rebuttal to that. You can't hit me with like, no, I'd rather be in a place with no building codes when a hurricane hits. Like, shut up. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's absurd. But anyway, so I wanted to get back to the caste system because we had brought that up. So the caste system still exists in India. So you're not supposed to marry outside of your caste, okay? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 castes. At the bottom are Dalits, which is I think the untouchables, and it's like
untouchables is like they're poor or they're like rich.
Untouchables as in like don't touch them because they're supposed to be like dirty and bad.
Okay, so I mean, I guess
it's messed up. It's totally messed. Like this is wrong. Like then my point was that this is something I'm judging. I'm harshly judging.
Well, so, I mean, you're reading it from the thing, so you're not really like judging it. I mean, like if they're saying that's the bottom, that's not. No, I mean, I'm
judging it as in like this is not good and they shouldn't do it like this.
Oh yeah, Continue.
Yeah. Anyway, so and apparently the Dalits are street cleaners and they do menial tasks. Then you have above them is Shudras, which is manual laborers. Then you have above them is Vaishyas. I know I'm butchering this in terms of the pronunciation, guys, but bear with me. And apparently they are like artisans, tradesmen, farmers, and merchants. That would be, I guess, like the middle class of the caste system. Then you have I'm definitely not going to get this one right. Kshatriyas.
This is an Indian, like this is in India.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and those are rulers, administrators, and warriors. That's the second. Like
this shit is mad outdated.
And then the top is Brahmins, which is like priests and academic class.
No one even has those jobs anymore in India. I feel like they're, developed enough. Farmers and like and warriors and shit like that.
Yes, absolutely. Like if you're in the military, you're technically a warrior.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, rulers would be like a politician. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. If you do it. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, artisan means like store owner. Merchant means like store owner. That's what this means.
They need to update their site and change it to those type of words, shit, because they sound mad at like.
I know, but this is the gist of it. But anyway, so like that's the caste system, and you're not supposed to marry outside of your caste, and it's like codifying class and saying like you're at the bottom, you're somewhere in the middle, you're somewhere slightly above that, you're at the top, and it's like now we do a more subtle version of that here.
I was just gonna say that shit. Look at Hollywood.
Hollywood's a great
Robert
example.
Downey Jr. and like all these famous people.
Wall Street.
With
CEOs with their suits and ties.
Their kids getting
expensive.
a job.
Yeah. Oh, the worst is like these kids going to Ivy League schools on like mommy and daddy's money, and they had like mediocre grades, but their dad made a phone call for them, and then they get into like Yale or some shit.
So they're all going to school together. It's not like some kid from Harvard is going to end up meeting a SUNY student or something like that.
Yes.
I mean, it could happen, but like majority of the time people are hanging out in the Hamptons. They got a lot of money. They're going to reproduce and make another kid who doesn't need.
You got like frats. Frats are like the perfect thing to kind of perpetuate this nonsense. Like these are the people who you're going to be friends with. Yep. And they're all going to be like the same social class. Their parents who are about just the same amount of wealth. Like you're going to get a job at some Fortune 500 company and sit behind a desk and make $700,000 a year for doing Dickie McGee's acts. Like it's crazy, but like yes, it's just I feel it's more crass when you lay it out and you act like no, you literally have no upward mobility. Like at least here, we don't have upward mobility, but they lie to you and they say like you can pretend to maybe there's a handful of people who will break out of it from the bottom and get to the top. You
It's
know what I
almost
mean?
more fucked up. Like
In
the
a
way
way,
you break it down is like I would almost prefer if I was taught growing up, like you're in the second tier. If you got someone from tier 5, you made it, dog. Well, like don't lie to me and say like we're all in the same tier type of shit, and then I end up on tier 5, and I think like I don't know. I would almost prefer to see a tier system than to be lied to, because
but see the
all our
thing
life
is
we've been lied to, politics, all that shit.
they don't allow you to marry outside of your tier. Like you're supposed to marry inside your tier.
Yeah,
If
but
you're an
even here, if that shit happens, people look at you weird. Like if you're a homeless dude and you're marrying some super rich lady, people are gonna be like, nah, I don't like that. Like that would be a news article.
yeah, because that's a very extreme example. But you definitely have situations where a dude makes 40 grand a year and his wife makes 200 grand.
Look at Hitch, the whole movie of Hitch. The guy was just an average Joe worker dating the celebrity lady, and there was like newspaper articles like asking why she's dating Kevin James. That was the whole movie. Why
I
couldn't
know,
he date
but
her?
there actually are examples though of like a guy will make a lot and the woman won't make that much, or the woman won't make that much, or the woman will make a lot and the guy won't make that much. Like that happens here. But there's instant like if we had a caste system, they would be like you're literally not allowed to marry somebody from that caste.
Yeah, that's a little fucked up when they start doing that. But I think at the end of the day, we're all doing the same shit. It's just how we, like some people, like we as a country pretend to not do a lot of these things, like we've said in the past.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of it is like
Our
we do a
political
lot of the
system,
same shit.
yeah, puts on a suit and tie and combs our hair and acts like, we're doing everything perfect. But at the end of the day, we're just as corrupt as some other country that we're shitting on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Um, but anyway, I wouldn't be cool. We shouldn't have a caste system, and neither should they. Nobody should have a
Hell
caste
no, that should
system
be a bigger.
because
That's a
everybody should
bigger
be equal.
fucking.
Everybody should be viewed as equal under the law, and
Yeah.
equal socially and culturally.
Like there's nothing. I know you really can't infiltrate like the Hasidic Jews down in Brooklyn and stuff like that, but like there's communities of Hasidic Jews all over the U.S. and it's like they're integrated with just like regular ass people. Not that they aren't, but like they abide by these crazy laws and these crazy rules, um, and just people act like it's normal, but it's not normal. And like
Yeah,
police can't
and
really do anything. Like that was the whole thing when the protests were going on. Like people got mad at De Blasio because he like said something to the Hasidic Jews, and then
yeah,
like,
because there was when coronavirus was hitting the hardest, they did a funeral and everybody was like right on top of each other with no
oh, you're right,
masks. And he was
yeah.
like, "Come on, guys, you can't like I'm not gonna let you do this."
But then there was like a whole uproar of like, you don't fuck with us type of shit.
Yeah, they were trying to say he's like anti-Semitic, and he's like, "I'm saying I don't want you to die from COVID. Like,
Exactly.
chill."
There's some people that I mean, like, I don't really know De Blasio's record, but I heard like people talking about him and shit like that. I just feel like no politician can ever win. Like there's no you're never, it's like a referee. You're never gonna get loved by everybody. Like even you, people love you so much. If you ran, the right would come at like no one fucks with anybody 100% unless you're Bill Clinton. This guy could do anything and everyone's gonna love the guy.
Nah, because he's been me too'd like a mofo.
I know, but nobody, they don't continue on with any of it. Like his whole Jeffrey Epstein story should be blown crazy.
Did you see that picture earlier?
No, which one?
Okay, I'm gonna find it and send it to you because
Not
there's
the
a
one of the
picture that
dress, right? That he was sitting in the
no.
Epstein.
There's a picture that just came out with him when he was like at one of at Epstein's island or something. And there's this woman like massaging this young girl like massaging his back.
What?
Bro, it just came out today. That's why I was asking you about it. Like this is literally like breaking news that just came out.
See, I don't want to say because it's not good, but like the whole Joe Paterno thing. If people were to get on Bill Clinton, he'd get on some like, something would happen with his health and like he'd decline really fast just because he doesn't seem like he's got the stamina to like fight this anymore. But like he's got all these corporate news stations that don't even bring up this story. And it's a huge deal. Like it's crazy how much like the lengths our media will go to defend people that they think are like, you know, one of theirs. And if you're not one of theirs, it's a wrap. Like it's a complete wrap. And if
they've already decided they like them, so they cover for them.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like what people don't understand is like if they did the right thing and covered that story how it should be covered, their news ratings would be way bigger.
Forget their ratings; they'd actually be trusted.
Yeah, they'd be trusted, but then in turn, their ratings would skyrocket because like they're telling the truth, and they'd actually keep digging on some crazy deeper stories. You know, like they'd find out some weird shit that like people would be like, oh wow, you know, and then it'd just ripple into more people getting exposed, and then ultimately you could get to the president or some shit like that. It's just like,
check your DMs right now.
People don't like the Wikipedia dude. Like people don't just understand. If you just follow what people want, you'll be successful. So like Wikipedia, I don't know if they're still doing it, but like even back in the day, it'd be like donate $1 if you want to get content or some shit like that. It's like I wouldn't have to donate $1 if you didn't fuck with people like Kyle and just kept his page up and shit like that. Because then more people would be going to Wikipedia. That like I don't know.
I think that's always how they funded themselves, though. They always did it through dollar donations.
Yeah, but if they're not like,
just look at the picture, bro. Just look at the picture. And this shit just came out.
Hold on. Oh man.
You see it?
Oh my.
Bill Clinton receives neck massage from Jeffrey Epstein victim. Bill Clinton is seen in photos sitting comfortably and smiling as Shantae Davies, 22. She was legal age. Rubs her hands into his shoulders. Yeah. See, there's just too much smoke there with Bill Clinton, right? Like, there's just too much stuff there. Like, he was accused of rape by Juanita Broderick. There's been a bunch of accusations of like other Me Too stuff. I don't know if he's been accused of rape multiple times, but he was accused of rape once. Then there was other Me Too stuff. There's the Monica Lewinsky thing, which was consensual, but also messed up, especially because of, I mean, this is a good example of what me and Molly were talking about, which is, you want to talk about a power dynamic. You're the president, and this is some like young intern. Wasn't she super young too when she was working there?
Lewinsky?
Yeah, she had to be mad young.
Yeah. Yeah. Super. I mean, like she had that young, old, like everyone back in like the 80s and 70s, even if you were like 12, you looked like you were 37.
That's
like,
so true.
Like they go back and do these documentaries on like ABC and shit like that, and they show Lewinsky and she's like, look at this intern at 17 years old. I'm like, what the fuck? She looks like she's like 46.
32?
Yeah, like full dress, like, you know, like gray hairs and shit like that. Like,
yeah, it's definitely like the big hair too, like the poofy hair.
Oh, yeah, like interns now look like fucking babies. Like, you know, like interns. That's the whole evolution process that I don't understand. Is like if you look at a yearbook from like 1957, you would think like it's like an old age home or some shit like that. It's crazy how like old these motherfuckers look.
And then now look at high schoolers; they look like they're 8.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like a middle school, like, you know, a high school senior looks like a middle school or some shit.
You think it's because they were living rougher, like it was just tougher to live back then, so you aged quicker?
I don't know.
But we have it tough now because with like coronavirus and everything, like people are miserable and it is hard to pay the bills. Like
that's what I'm saying. I feel like facial hair for I mean, don't get me wrong, I haven't looked at middle school or high school yearbooks in a hot minute. But like I feel like you could
have grown a beard in high school easy and like 9th grade.
That's what I'm saying. But like if you look at those yearbooks back in the day, everyone probably had a full grown ass beard. And like eyebrows are probably thick as fuck. Their hair was like down to here and shit like that.
Not for nothing, like the 70s, like Brady Bunch hair. I hated those hairstyles.
Oh, it's terrible.
It was just like a mop top on everybody for no reason.
Terrible. And it seems just mad like uncomfortable when it was hot outside and shit like that.
Yeah, like why would you choose to do that? Why would you choose to like feel a big chunk of hair on your head at all times?
I guess like I mean like maybe it had to do with music and the rock bands that would like shag their hair around and shit
Yeah,
like
it
that.
had to be like the people who were, you know, the leading cultural figures, the icons, the rock stars. They all had that hair, so everybody was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wear my hair like that too." But it's like that's wildly uncomfortable. Why would you do that?
There's got to be something too, like because all even like the like Civil War generals and even back like they all had crazy mustaches and goatees and
They were
beards
short
and shit
too.
like that.
Did you
They
know
were
that?
short.
That back then the average height was way shorter than it is now?
See, I don't know how that evolution happens either.
Probably from total lack of like nutrition. Like now, even though we eat crap, like we eat a lot. You know what I mean? Back then, they were there was malnutrition and whatnot.
And they were just like sitting on horses all day and shit like that,
People
which probably has
drinking
to like
well
fuck up
water
your.
that's like probably gonna give them freaking dysentery and they're gonna die.
But with all due respect, they probably had a crazy better work ethic than we do, like having to get
Oh,
water from wells
gee.
and shit like that. And
Imagine
everything's
working on a farm in like 1789. You working on a farm, like you have to wake up like when the like, second the sun comes up, and then I mean life was just so hard. Like if you had a rough season, like you could just starve. You could just I don't have enough to eat. What am I
I
gonna
wake
do?
up 2 days in a row doing nothing, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to move at all or do anything. Imagine waking up 2 days after doing some shit from sun up to sundown, and like not having a like just a buttery ass shower to go into. Like I even get from like 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I get like the perk of just laying down for 2 hours, which could maybe, put some fuel back in my tank. Those motherfuckers had to go to sleep sweaty and like put on the same crusty
Bro,
ass underwear the next morning and shit
you
like that.
literally couldn't. They didn't have showers, so like you could only take a bath. And I don't know how many times in your adult life you've taken a bath.
Oh, I
I've
bet.
I've done it a few times, but like you're not that much cleaner when you get out of the bath.
Oh,
Like
100%. You're just sitting
you're
in your
sitting in a
dirty ass
tub of your
water.
own filth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's there's a bath to shower transition. So if you're not showering after your bath nowadays, you're not doing a bath right.
Yeah,
And
that's you can't not shower. Like showering actually gets you clean. When you're in a bath and you get out, you could feel like the swampiness of the grease that was on you and it's still there.
yes, you even see it in the water when you're laying there.
Yes, you
The
can see
thing
it.
that fucks you up about like baths are almost like cotton candy in the sense where that shit sounds banging as fuck, and in theory it looks banging as fuck, and it all
But it's not.
it's really not all bent out to what it is. Like
That's 100% correct.
it's
And you're also
good.
right about cotton candy. It's not like you think it's better than it is, then you have it and you're like, eh.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It like a kid looks at cotton candy and they're like, "Oh my god, I love that shit." They might like it a little bit more, which kids like baths a little bit more. My daughter loves a bath because you could play in the water a little bit. But once you get a little bit more sophisticated and start understanding the world, you you realize that you have to waste mad water. So one, your water bill is going to be a little bit higher when you do a bath.
No, it's more for shower, bro.
Oh, seriously?
Yes, way more for shower because you got the water like continuously coming out of the head for like 10 to 15 minutes.
No, that's not how. Nah.
I
A shower-
guarantee you more water is wasted in a shower. I'm going to prove it to you right now.
That would be a good poll. Where's
It's not,
more water
it's not
wasted?
something you need to poll. It's something we could fact check.
Because at the end of the day, a shower, if you take a normal shower, I think 5 minutes is a long shower. A normal
5 is a
shower
long
time.
shower? You're bugging.
Normal shower time, I would say, is probably.
Oh,
I
no,
take
you're right. Generally, taking a shower uses less water than a full bath.
because if you think about it,
A standard shower head flows at a rate of 2.5 gallons per minute. This means that a 10-minute shower only uses 25 gallons of water. A full bath can use up to 70 gallons of water. That's interesting. I thought it was the opposite.
a 10-minute shower is a long, like that's almost an hour shower if you do that shit 10 times.
Well, if you do it, okay. Anyway, listen, it
No, but
is
for real. If
10
you think
minutes. You
about it,
think 10 is a long shower? My showers are definitely 10 minutes.
Molly will say my shower is 10 minutes, but I think that's a long shower. I'll say
I mean, listen,
maybe
there are
my
people
shower is
who are
6
mad
minutes.
quick with their shower, who really go in and out real quick. There are a lot of people like that. I'm not
What's
one to
out
be
real
boom,
quick?
boom.
2
What?
minutes, 3
Yes,
minutes.
2 minutes is quick.
And so,
But so is 5. I would say 5 is quick, just not as quick as 2.
yeah, it's hard to. I'm gonna time my next shower because I feel like I take long showers, but at the end of the day, a bath, however long it takes to take up the bath, that's mad water dropping out of that shit. It's like just fucking plowing out of that shit.
No, you're
The
right.
shower,
Hey, you're right.
science.
I just fact checked it. I thought it was the opposite, and I was wrong. But
Um,
yeah, I definitely take like 10-minute showers because it's not like a lot of people treat the shower like I'm gonna go in, do what I want to do, what I got to do, and then get out. What I do is I go in and I'll start the process, but like in between doing the different things, whether it's washing my hair, shampoo, conditioner, soaping your body or whatever, in between it, there's like a little bit of chill time where it's like I just did that and now I'm just gonna post up for a minute. And then now, like it's almost like I lollygag through the whole thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I got a question for you. Does soap go in your ass cheeks or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Same. You
Yeah,
got to.
absolutely.
You got to. You got to.
Of
All right.
course.
I thought I was a
What am I
little.
gonna do? Not clean my ass?
Well, you could clean like the buns part of it,
But the part that needs cleaning more is not the buns.
but then that soap has to go on the rest of your body. So ultimately, you're just taking a bath with your bar of soap. You're putting that shit all
Oh,
over
I
your
see what you're
arms.
saying. Yeah. I see what you're saying. But you can
If you hit it
use.
with like a rinse real
But
quick, take
do
it
you,
all off.
do you use a washcloth or no?
No, hell no. Washcloths are the most overrated. Like when someone stays at my house and they ask for a washcloth, I just it seems mad uncomfortable because it's just like it's like mad scruffy on your body and shit like that.
Just so
There's
you
also
know.
that other thing that Bed Bath & Beyond always sold. It was like that bubble looking shit. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like it's sort of like a
Oh,
sponge.
loofah. Yeah,
What is that?
that's like a washcloth. You're
Yeah,
supposed to. You use it the same way. You put it all over your body.
that shit peaked in like maybe 99 to 2005. Everybody got one of those shits in like some donation basket or some shit.
So now let me ask you this. So you sound like you're a bar of soap guy. You're a bar of soap guy.
Yes.
But now, see,
Don't get me
what's the
wrong. I will fuck up some liquid soap too.
liquid soap is what's up too.
Mhm.
But if you're, let's say you're primarily a bar of soap dude, so you got the bar of soap in there, you use it. Then Molly gets in the shower. Does she use the same thing?
Well, she's got a different. She uses the shower in our room. I use the one in the hallway. But
Okay.
I hope
Okay.
people who stayed at my house don't listen because that shit is all up in the cheeks. And if you take a shower after me,
That
you're-
bar of soap was all up in your booty.
that bar of soap was all up in my shit. But now, don't get me wrong. Maybe they got the same policy, and if they showered before me, I got their booty juice all over me. So like, what comes around goes around. Like at the end of the day, I think I'm still good.
See, but that's why I was asking about Molly because that's I like black people make fun of white people for not using washcloths. OD.
oh,
Like they're
really?
they're like y'all some disgusting motherfuckers. Like you're gonna and that's the argument. The argument is like if you use the bar of soap and that other person's using that bar of soap, no, because then you're gonna get all types of nonsense on yourself.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't think I've explored the washcloth enough, but yeah, it's definitely. There's a lot of things that like until you. I mean, this goes to like a bigger scale. Until you try it, or until it happens to you, or until like you go to someone's. Like if I stayed at your house and you were like, "Yo, here's a washcloth," and like I used the washcloth, I'd be like, "Oh shit!" Like you know, like
It could be one of those where it's like you're like, oh, I can't believe I went this far without ever doing this.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and that goes back to like different heritages and like different cultures and shit like that. Because there's so many times I'll hang out with someone who's Dominican or black or white or whatever, and they're just like their mom or their grandma or someone will be like, "Hey, try this," and I'm like, what? You put that on that, or and then I start adopting that shit, and
Yeah.
that's why we need more of that, you know. But washcloth was never one of those things. The bar soap.
Nah, man. White people are allergic to washcloths, bro. Seriously. Because I never was a washcloth person anyway. But, like, I'm the only one using my shower.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But I'm the same as you in that, like, I have it at a tie between, like, liquid soap and bar of soap. Because I got body wash that smells good. That's good soap.
Mhm.
I got that. And then I also got the bar of soap.
Well, I've been doing bar soap more because Molly put me on. There's like all these brands, like Irish Springs and Dove and all this normal shit. Dial. I used to buy the diesel pack of Dial soap, and it would last me forever. But like, she put me on that. Like, all that shit is bad. Like,
Yeah,
for
with
your
certain
body.
ingredients in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did she put you on? Some all natural something?
It's like some all natural bar soap shit thing that I use now. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still, if it runs out, I'm using soap that I just have sitting in the corner. You know, like,
What is it called? Because
I'll get the name from her.
soap is like animal fat. That's what soap is made out of.
Yeah, I mean, she does her research and homework on all of this shit, and she'll give me the bar of soap now to use. But like I said, I'm 32 years deep in the game. I've been putting 32 years of shit on my body. It's probably whatever has grown on me and developed, like, is already there. I don't think. I mean, at the end of the day, that's only like 1/4 of the timeline of life. Like my first quarter's done, probably.
That's 1/3.
So it's like halftime of my life right now.
No, it's a basketball game with 3 quarters in it, and you just finished the first quarter.
All right. So if it's a normal basketball game, 4 quarters, it's like 10 minutes into the second quarter.
About that, sure.
That's all right. Like, that's a lot of time. Like, if you watch a basketball game and there's 10 minutes left in the second quarter, you're like, I could do mad shit before this game's over.
That is
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. But at some point, we're going to be having this conversation, and it's going to be like, yo, we're 10 minutes into the third quarter.
Yeah, or like 6 minutes into the third quarter or some shit. And then I'll be like, that's when you start, like, that's when I'll sit down on the couch and start watching the game a little bit. And that's when we're at that point, at 6 minutes left in the third quarter, I'll be talking to you like, yo, you wanna go skydiving?
And I'll be like, fuck no.
There's some shit I'm never gonna do. I don't even care.
Yeah, no, my midlife crisis will not come in the form of like doing dangerous stuff.
I'm not. I hope I don't think I'm the type of dude that'll ever be like midlife crisis-y. And it's sort of like, you could sort of tell and see it so much with people when they're like buying some new like convertible shit or just doing something that like just doesn't fit their age range.
I could see myself doing that.
Really?
Yeah, my midlife crisis is going to be me buying like a sports car and putting back in earrings.
I fuck with the putting back earrings. Like, I think we need to normalize.
44 with earrings back in. And
Yeah.
people are going to be like, what are you doing? I'm going to be like,
think
earrings, bro.
Earrings for a guy in the workplace is some shit that's sort of still like frowned upon. But yet,
but
like,
we sort of
crazy
changed the
tattoos
game a
would be
little
okay.
bit.
What's that?
We sort of changed the game a little bit because for a lot of jobs, I had my earrings in.
I know. I think I told this before. I had a job interview with the Nets, and I freaked the shit. Like, freaked it. I left that shit, and I like the building blew up behind me after I walked out because I did so well. And then the dude called me and was like, "Yeah, we want to offer you." It was like a ticket sales job or some bullshit. He's like, "You amazing." He's like, "The only thing, can we ask if you take your earrings out?" And I was like, "Fuck." I had these shits in the whole time.
Yeah,
Well, like,
God.
at the end of the day, they might have even like fucked with that too, you know?
No, if they asked you to take them out, they didn't. But still, yeah, like it is kind of annoying. That's obnoxious in my opinion. Like, it's one of those things where you're like expressing yourself and it's not over the top, it's not crazy, it's not like you're tattooing dicks on your eyeballs or anything. So like, why do they care? Like, piss off a little bit. It's the same. It's like walking in with a tattoo and they're like, "Could you get that lasered off?" No, actually, I can't. So hire me and shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna kind of hate on Post Malone for a second. Like, just because he's got mad tattoos and all these deep shits on his face doesn't mean the guy's a genius.
I like how Joe brought me up in the podcast to Post Malone. He said like Kyle Kulinski texted me this, and I'm like, Post Malone does not know who the fuck I am, bro. You can't just casually drop my name like Post Malone is up on like the political news on YouTube.
Imagine he was like, "Oh, yeah, I saw that article," or some shit like that.
Or Tim Dillon. He brought me up to Tim Dillon too. That you sent me.
Fucked up your name.
Yeah, but he does. I think he does that on purpose because he said it before too. He calls me Kyle Kulinski.
Oh, so yeah, he probably knows it.
Yeah, but he's cool. Like I like him. He likes me. Like I think
he's a Long Island dude, right?
He is. Yeah, we've DM'd like once or twice or whatever. But
he's starting to blow up like a lot right now. I mean, he's funny,
hilarious. Dude. He's good because and here's the thing that makes him so good is he genuinely doesn't give a fuck. Like if he offends you, he doesn't care. So he's gonna tell his joke and then take it or leave it. But like he's never gonna like change his act because he's worried about how people will react.
Yeah. And he's smart politically too. I mean, like I listened to.
He's like secretly a left winger. Like he's secretly like
I don't know though. I don't know.
No, he is like he'll make fun of like dumbass lefties who are annoying, but like secretly he's like, we need Medicare for all. Obviously,
he got me on one shit. Was like, don't be fooled by all these celebrities like that. Are making a career out of politics now. Like they actually give a shit like about you. Like
like they don't care about you. Yeah,
they don't give a fuck. Like the Alyssa Milanas and all those people.
But he said Kyle Kulinski. This is the second time he said Kulinski. And there is a guy named Kulinski. He's a serial killer, Richard Kulinski.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's called the Iceman. He killed mad people.
Paul Wall was the Iceman.
That's the rapper, right?
Yeah.
What did you go? His grill made him the Iceman.
It's the Iceman, Paul Wall. I got my mouth looking something like a disco ball.
Let's read about Richard Kulinski. Richard Kulinski was an American.
He probably was the same nationality of you as some shit, right?
Yeah, because it ends in SKI, not SKY. Yeah. So his name is definitely from the same place. He was an American murderer and hitman. In 1988, he was sentenced to life in prison.
An American murderer, like he was a baseball player or some shit.
He was drafted by after being convicted of killing 2 members of his burglary gang and 2 other associates in 2003. He received an additional 30 years after confessing to a mob-connected police officer, confessing to a murder of a mob-connected police officer. He was given the nickname the Iceman by authorities after they discovered he had frozen the body of one of his victims in an attempt to disguise the time of death. Wow.
You know what bugs me out a little bit though? Like even all of that shit that like you're reading, who knows if that like the police didn't set this guy up or like, if like, I mean,
that shit is so crazily common. Like how much the cops set people up.
That's it's sort of crazy. I don't really trust anything from our past like anymore. Like I was even like you were a political science major and maybe you knew about it and shit like that. But like, there's tons of other college graduates that didn't know. Like, I didn't know about the Tulsa riots, the Juneteenth shit like that. Like, all of that shit was never taught.
Black Wall Street being burned down.
All of that shit. And, like, that just goes to show how much other shit did we not learn about.
Well, think about, okay, so did they teach you about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how did they frame it? Because, like, I don't remember.
We learned about it, right?
Yeah, I don't remember much talk about it, but to the extent they did talk about it, I kind of remember them being like, we did the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, we killed hundreds of thousands of innocent Japanese civilians at a time when a lot of experts say that they were trying to give up. They were like already kind of letting everybody know like we surrender type stuff. And then we dropped the bombs anyway and killed civilians.
And so, fucked them up like years later. They're still fucked up.
Bro, see, that's what I'm saying is you're right. They don't teach it, or when they do teach it, it's biased as hell. Like they're never going to teach the Iraq War in the way it needs to be taught. Like, how would you discuss that if you're being totally honest about it? Like, well, we got lied into a war, and they overthrew this guy, and they stole the oil, and like,
and even like Trump, like. Picture 40 years down the road. You think you're gonna have a teacher telling kids about Trump, saying like, yeah, this guy would say grab him by the pussy, and he, you know, was a pedophile and he raped all these women, and like, no, like they'll probably just talk about like they'll pick and choose a couple of the bad things he did, but like you could spend years talking about all the shit that he's fucked up. But
Yeah.
you got to teach it in like 2 weeks. It's a chapter in a book. So like
Yeah.
you're gonna pick the like worst things you think. Meanwhile, the guy has done 500 quadrillion billion bad things.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that we're all of us have a skewed perception of everything because we're only getting such a tiny sliver of reality. Even if we have, even the people who have the best understanding of a lot of these things, it's nowhere near the full understanding. You know, as an outsider, you never know. Just think about with people, with individual people. Like, there's so many instances of somebody where you're like, you think you know the person and you think that it's good, and then they kill themselves or something, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Because people just don't know what's going on in other people's minds, man.
Mm-hmm.
People have no idea what people are like, what's going on in their lives. And like, all we have is, all we're meeting at all times is everybody's PR agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's all we're doing is, if you're hanging out with somebody at a bar, like a friend or whatever, you don't know what the hell's going on in their lives and what they're really like. And it's really sad when you think about it like that, because then everything feels more lonely, you know?
Yeah. No,
It's like,
100%. I mean, that's why I think like the authenticity angle is like the only route you can go, and you see so much support and love, and like you see more genuine people in return when you make yourself vulnerable and put yourself out there and say something that like isn't manly or isn't something that'll make you look weak. um and so I mean I encourage when I see shit that is not always in the best light.
yeah, I kind of agree that if you're just honest all the time, that actually pays dividends in a weird way. Like, you just feel better, and you feel, I think it's really important that people are honest with themselves and with others, because it does make you feel better. It does
Hmm.
make you feel like, more pure, and like you're doing something that's correct. Like, I always try to abide by that rule of just always tell the truth all the time and just be honest all the time with people, because you never want to feel like you're being duplicitous, if that's the right word, like two-faced.
Sounds like the right word.
Yeah, you never want to feel like you're being two-faced to people, and because then you can start to hate yourself. You know what I mean? Like, people know when you're doing stuff that's messed up, like, you'll start to hate yourself a little bit and be like, damn, why'd I do that? You know?
Yeah, the mind is a crazy thing, and I wanted to ask you this because Molly brought it up the other day. She said her father was telling her about like her aunt or some cousin or something that like was like deep into like witchcraft and like could really sense like a presence in a room, a spirit or some shit like that, or foresee something bad that was going to happen. And she started saying like I almost kind of believe that that stuff is real in some capacity because like at the end of the day, like how are we here, like, and even like with death, like there could be something to like someone still having a little bit of presence somewhere around you or in the room or like making something haunted because yeah, like at the end of the day, like we're all just magically here, and we have dreams and we're thinking while we're sleeping, and like we have feelings. I don't know. I just think there's something to, like a haunted room or someone who could maybe feel some spirits or something that's off within a person, not like speaking to the dead and shit like that, but like you can sense through someone's like, I don't know, some telepathic feeling that, that something's just off within a person.
So, in my opinion, yeah, you can sense when something's off, but I feel like it's not spooky or magical. It's just there's cues, whether they're spoken or unspoken. You can catch a vibe from somebody based on how they look, how fidgety they are, what's going on with their eyes. Like there's a lot of nonverbal cues and a lot of stuff that goes into like how you talk, the inflection of your voice, the rhythm of how you speak. Like there's a lot of stuff that sends off these nonverbal cues which tell people a lot more subconsciously about how you are and what you're thinking and how you're feeling than anything you might even say. So I think there is something to like energy or vibes that you get, but I definitely don't think there's anything to like spirits or haunted stuff or whatever, because there's just no evidence. Like there's too many smart people and too many scientists and too many ways of measuring this stuff where there would be some evidence, and there's just no evidence of any of that stuff. It's like Bigfoot. It's like people say they saw Bigfoot, and then it's like, okay, can we prove it? Well, we can never prove it. So, okay, but like somebody says there's a giraffe. The idea of a giraffe is ridiculous. Like a long ass neck thing. Like, why is its neck so long?
I saw one in person at the zoo.
That thing is so stupid.
So
like, how is its neck so long? And so if you told me about that, I'd be like, that probably doesn't exist. But then if I saw, I'd be like, oh, there it is right there. Like that exists. But like they can't do that with Bigfoot. So it's like, it probably isn't real.
Well, that's why I don't get the whole alien shit. It's just like no one's ever seen an alien. It's not like there's a guy with a picture with his arm around a fucking alien. Like that exists nowhere. Yet people still want to say that there's UFOs and aliens and all this shit. Like,
well, the UFO thing, there are UFOs. There are literally unidentified flying objects, but that's all we know about it, is that it's unidentified flying objects. We don't know if it's aliens. We don't know any deeper story. We just know that there are unidentified flying objects, which happens from time to time.
Can that be considered as like a rock or just some shit that like they can't pick up on radar and see like what it is?
Well,
I don't think there's like a data board and like someone's flying some shit. Like flying is just anything that could just be going through the air that just
anything that could be flying through the air, and who knows what the hell it is. But like there are many instances of people seeing unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
You don't even think there are those? Of course they exist. I mean, there's just so many examples of them. You could just go to YouTube and type in unidentified flying object or UFOs, and then you'll see these like compilation videos of all these things. And even if like, let's be kind and say like 90% of them are faked. Well, then of the 10% that aren't faked, what are they? We don't know. We just know it's unidentified flying objects.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I love how you were more open to the idea of witches than UFOs.
Not witches, but like
spirits.
Yeah, like somebody, like something knocking over.
Yeah, but like,
actually,
if somebody's in the afterlife, why would they waste time knocking some shit over to spook you out? Like, what a waste of time. If I'm in the afterlife and that's what I'm doing.
Got murdered in that room or something like that, or like, something haunted happened in that house and you're trying to scare the next person.
Have I ever been in a haunted house? Is that your question?
Not like in a haunted house, but like if something really bad happened to you, like in the house, and now you're just in the afterlife with mad time to spare, you just be like, I'm gonna go back to my old house and just fuck with people. I guess there's probably other things I would want to do, like
but then the afterlife would be so non-creepy, because like if that's what you're doing in the afterlife, you're like pranking people. Then the afterlife is just like this life, where like you got a bunch of free time and you're trying to figure out what to do.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so
in a weird way, that creepy stuff is not creepy, because it would just be like, oh, that's just Dave fucking with me.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I guess if you put it in that term. I do that with movies too, and I've said this shit too. Any movie that like there's gory blood scene or someone's arms getting chopped off or something, I'm like, I just picture that person like at the awards or something, like with their suit on and their arms intact and everything fine.
So scary movies don't get to you?
No, not really. And
they used to not get to me. Now they get to me more, actually, because when I was younger, yes, I could make myself not get into the movie by not paying attention through parts of it. And so when the scary stuff happened, I'd be like, that's not even that scary because I didn't get into the movie. But now I almost allow myself to get taken on the ride more. And when you allow yourself to get taken on the ride, see what they know how to do, Core. There's a science to like how to scare you. And like what they do with the music too. Like that's half of the scariness is the way that they set it up.
The
Like
abrupt,
if they're playing some jovial ass music, you're not going to get scared. But if they play the scary music, you're going to be like, damn, I'm scared.
yeah, and then like out of nowhere they hit you with like that scourge real quick shit.
Yep.
Like,
And that gets me, man. I've never been a big horror movie fan. Have you?
no, Scream was the one shit that like I was shook off of back in the day. Um,
When he gets
And
him with like the meat cleaver and pulls him up. Remember
Yes.
that scene? I was like, yo.
Scream that was a scary one because like the mask, like that mask, like haunted me.
Yeah,
That
that is sort of creepy. There are faces, like certain faces, man. Like there was a dream I had where I saw a demon face
Ooh.
and it terrified me, bro. Like I woke up and I was literally scared when I woke up because I was like that. I was so mad that my own mind was willing to do that to me. I
Yeah,
was like, where in my mind was this face of a demon that like it decided to pop out and mess with me?
yeah. Like the Chucky doll never like that movie. I don't think I've ever watched it. Maybe I've watched the scene, but that would never scare me because at the end of the day, I'll be like, he's a doll.
Bro, the Freddy Krueger was bad because it's
Yeah.
when you go to sleep that he gets you.
Oh, for real?
Yes. And so it kind of set everybody up where like now they're thinking, damn it, if I go to sleep, like that's when the bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger was bad. That was a tough one. That was
Yeah,
a tough one.
the other one, The Purge, there was one scene where the guy's at like the doorbell and he's like turning his head, like looking into their thing. I was like, that got me a little. Like,
Yeah, but the Purge was more. It wasn't just horror. It was also like action. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't pure horror. There
yeah,
are pure horror movies like psychological thrillers that really can mess you up if you allow yourself to get taken into it.
yeah. I mean, like these people get paid a lot of money. At the end of the day, they know how to manipulate your mind. And I saw Rogan put something up about how we're addicted to our phones, but like at the end of the day, these companies like know how to get you addicted to their products.
Yeah, but
And
not only that, but we get like a lot of what we do nowadays is we also overlook the positive stuff. Like, yes, we're all addicted to our phones. Also, I do a lot of my show prep on my phone where I get all these articles about things that I'm going to talk about and I read them. So,
true,
like,
there's good
okay, I'm
benefits.
using my phone a lot, but it's the same as back in the day in the 1990s if I was sitting down and reading a newspaper. Why is reading a newspaper healthy and fine and nobody judges me, but looking at my phone and reading an article on my phone, all of a sudden I should be judged for that? It's like, I don't know why it has to be portrayed
point.
as like a purely negative thing, which gets back to what I was saying earlier about like addiction and obsession. Like, yes, addiction has that negative connotation because of what we were talking about, where it's like it's messing up other parts of your life.
Mhm.
But obsession does not have to be that. Obsession could be healthy.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good point. I didn't look at it like that. Yeah.
And on that note, you got anything else you want to tell these lovely people before we
Well,
wrap it up?
I sort of wanted to shit on the DNC a little bit, and
Yeah,
because
yeah. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Because God damn it, it's so bad. Like they're so annoying, they're so smug, they're so full of themselves. Like it literally looks, I was watching a little bit of it before we did this podcast. It looks like a bad infomercial. Like it looks like something you find if you turn on your TV at 3 o'clock in the morning because you can't sleep. It's like a shitty infomercial that's still running. It was made in 2005, but it's still running. And
it's
like
so
they're
true.
trying to sell a scam product. Like that's what the DNC is looking like right now.
There's no rhythm to it. It's just you're 100% right. Like I turned it on yesterday, and it's like one person speaking, and then it'll just cut. Like it cut to some girl playing the guitar
Oh my God.
on like some rocks,
On some
like
hippie shit.
on some hippie shit. Like her dress was blowing in the wind, and then there was a guy like 10 feet away with a microphone stand on the rocks. They were singing some random ass song. Like there's just no. It's just like they threw so much shit at like a board, and we're like, let's just do all of it. Like there was no like vetting process of like, all right, first we're gonna rock with Bernie because he's the man. We're gonna reel everybody in with that shit. Then from Bernie, since we got the high there, we'll go here. We'll go. They were just like they just all took a shit on a fucking board, and were just like put it all on the air, do everything.
Did you
And
see the end of it? I don't know if you saw
was
it.
that real?
Yes, I had a tweet that went viral because I said like this is the moment Trump won re-election because like they cut at the end of the
real.
DNC. Eva Longoria is like, "Good night, everybody," and then they cut to the final song that they do, and it literally looks like a joke. It looks like a parody.
That's
you
what
have
I thought
like
it was.
no, it was 100% real, bro. 100% real. That was.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
They don't Corin. This
they
is the
don't wanna
problem with
win.
Democrats.
Like, I don't think we're gonna win.
But okay, now this is the problem with Democrats is that they're so smug and self-assured and they're so convinced they're right that they don't bother to be normies. Like they don't bother to be normal as fuck. They don't bother to just be people. So like they do some weird interpretive dance shit and they think like everybody's fucking with me right now. Like everybody likes this. And it's like, bitch, nobody likes this. Your own parents are looking at it like, shut the fuck up. Like, you look ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the problem, man, is that they're so smug and out of touch. And, like, every single speech, Corin was, like, just trying to say in 40 different ways that Trump is bad. And it's like, listen, I get it. I know he's bad. Everybody knows he's bad. That's so obvious. Now, what the fuck are you going to do about the pandemic and the depression and all these problems people have and nobody has health care? And, like, what are you going to do about that? But they couldn't. They just went right to like, he's bad. Yeah, I know. Who is this? Who is this bringing in that's not already on your side? It's bringing nobody. They had more. They had more time for Republicans than they did for the left. Like, and the list keeps going. Now you got Colin Powell's coming in to speak. Cindy McCain, the wife of John McCain, you had John Kasich, you had two other Republicans talk, Michael Bloomberg talk, he's basically a Republican.
Yeah.
Like all this time, the message that they're sending is we're smug, we're annoying, and we're basically diet Republicans. Like that's the whole thing they're sending. And then meanwhile, like all the people who are the future and should be the future of the Democratic Party, like young leftists, we're all making fun of it. All of us are making fun of it. It's not just me and you. If you read my Twitter feed last night, it's like everybody just fucking poking fun relentlessly. Like, this is stupid. This is dumb. What are you guys doing? This is a joke. This is terrible. Amy Klobuchar up there making dad jokes. I forgot what she said, but Donald Trump may hate the post office, but he's going to be asking for a change of address soon.
It's like, what's even more sad is like people who get it, who understand what needs to be done for change and know how corrupt the DNC is and how fucking like just how bad of an organization it is and how much they fucked over Bernie and like we still gave them a chance. Like we're still trying to tune in and just see what they're doing. Like, and it's like, this is like the culmination of just like tone deaf, not understanding anything that we're screaming for, we're asking for, and all they can do is like go on CNN afterwards and now talk about Bernie and say what a great speech he gave and how good of a job he's doing. Like that's them trying to appease his audience. But at the end of the day, like it goes back to what you've always said. It's just like you almost lose a little bit of respect for Bernie that like he's letting them just fucking use him and be propped up on this platform of shit.
I love Bernie with all my heart, but we got to keep it real. He's sort of a cuck. Like, they stole it from him at the last minute by consolidating and screwing him. Barack Obama made phone calls to Amy Klobuchar and Mayor Pete and were like, listen, y'all got to drop out and endorse Biden. And if you do, you'll have a place in his administration. And they said, yes, sir. And they did that. They stabbed him in the back. And then he bent the knee and didn't even get extractions from them, bro. What? And then now he looks like a shell of himself up there, just being, yes, Joe is great. Vote for Joe. Trump is really, really bad. And then you're right. You go to these drones on CNN who are like, what a wonderful speech that was. And everybody's so excited about Joe. And they were, oh my God, the over the top praise from Michelle Obama. I wanted to kill myself. She gave the
Oh,
most boring, regular ass anti Trump speech. And they were just like, this is historic.
did you
Oh,
see her necklace said vote on it? It's like
I
it's like
just want to die watching this. It's so stupid. All
at
of it is
least
so
find
insulting.
like couldn't you get at least Beyonce or something to perform or like
Nah,
do
I'd
some
hate that just as much,
I'd
bro.
hate it too, but
They
it'd be
had Billy
better than
Relish. They had Billy Relish.
who the fuck is Billy
Billie
Reddish?
Eilish Relish.
Oh, I don't even know who that like
She's some young performer who's supposed to be like, hello, fellow kids, vote for
oh
Joe.
it's so
And John Legend. Ugh.
they even I tweeted one picture of like even the families that they queued to, like it was delayed, so like they'd show a
No,
family and
I
they're like
saw the thing you tweeted.
mad
Yeah.
like
Like same. You said like same.
and then they like turn away and then they start clapping. It's just
Yeah.
like they can't even get that shit right.
They
It's
can't get
just
any of it right. They cut to mad people early. Like Clyburn had to start his thing over. There's a video that was online of Bernie like talking for like 2 minutes before his speech. He didn't
yeah,
even realize he was on
that
the
one
air.
was classic though. I fuck with him because his wife kept coming into the
He
shit
was
when
like,
he was
Jane, Jane, enough, Jane.
that's but like it's right. Like some shits were pre-recorded, but they leave Bernie out to dry to do his shit live, and like
It's
it's
just
just
terrible. You're right.
shit.
Like literally you go watch any Twitch streamer or any YouTuber and they have more coordination and smoothness to their broadcast than anything they did at the DNC.
Yeah,
Like the thing that's driving me crazy is like legit, I don't know if maybe it's just the channel I was watching it on, but like it looks like a shitty infomercial. Like it seems
it
like it's not
does.
even HD. Like
Yeah,
it seems like it's, on some 460, 480, whatever. Like it's not HD, it's not 1080, it's not 720,
no, and then the
not
cuts and
4K.
breaks are all terrible. Like they'll randomly throw like a black screen on with some quote and music on it. Like after, like you're right, 100% right. It's like it feels like a really bad infomercial.
Bro, for real, they should have just not done a DNC this year and been like COVID. Like this is what I'm saying. People think I'm joking when I'm like, you know what, Biden should just stay in the basement and not talk to anybody even more. And but now everybody seems to kind of come around to it. Like previously, everybody was making fun of me. Now everybody's like, I think he's kind of right about that.
A
But it's the same
1,000%
same
right.
thing for the DNC. Like if you just didn't do the DNC, you'd be in a better place. Like I literally, Biden was up 9 points on Trump. Now with the more shit he does, like picking Kamala, giving interviews, his shit is now down to 4 points. Like if you just stayed away permanently, maybe that +9 would just stay +9 and you'd win the election. But they love reminding us how fucking annoying they are and how disrespectful they are to us and like having these events. And it's like, if you just go away, I won't hate you as much.
Yeah, no, you're right. And all this is doing is giving Joe a bigger ego and like more of a sense to get out there and like speak more and like
Who's
all these people
excited
love
for
me.
no? If you're excited for Joe Biden, something's wrong with you. Like
Like
I'm not judging you if you're gonna vote for him, but like if you're excited for him, that you need fucking help. Like nobody's fucking excited for him, and every speaker has to pretend like they're excited for him, and it's like
so
you're
true.
so full of shit. You're so full of shit. Nobody's fucking excited for this half zombie of a man.
There was one lady sitting in like her kitchen, like in her kitchen. She was sitting down at like her kitchen table, and like over her sink was like a Joe Biden like banner shit. I'm like, ah, who? Why would you put this like anywhere in your house? And like, yeah, it's almost you almost can guarantee that every one of those people who spoke, like when they found out, they said to their spouse or significant other, they're like, "Fuck, man, I gotta fucking put it on for this guy right now." Like, you're right. No one is like doing cartwheels. No one is ending their shit like, ah, man, I'm so fucking fired up right now. Like, you
Finally, we
can't be.
got Joe.
No one could be fired up. Even his wife. Like, I saw her do an interview and she had like a children's book over her shoulder or some shit. Like, if you're trying to sell some book shit, I don't trust you. Like, I don't trust you if you're trying to sell a book. Like, if you've got a book over your shoulder and you're doing an interview, whatever you're saying is just discredited because
Jill knows that Biden's messed up too. Like Jill knows that Joe is having problems. Like she knows better than anybody
OD.
because she's with him a lot, and so she knows like, oh no, he's having a bad day.
And it's just getting worse. Like every day it gets like I haven't seen a most recent interview of Biden, but like the last time I've seen him, it just gets worse and worse and worse. It's like there's something sucking away at his brain, and it just keeps getting smaller.
He has to give a speech at the end of this convention. Like he's supposed to be the big speech because it's the convention to nominate him. And like, what is he going to do? What is he going to say? He's going to be typical Joe Biden. He's going to just like babble.
And you're so right. It's all just fluff shit. Like there's nothing of like what's going to be done.
Nothing. It is endless. Like Matt Taibbi wrote an amazing article where he's like, let's do, I'm going to pull it up now and just give people what he said, because he's like, let's do a drinking game. Let's do a drinking game for the DNC. And if they say these words, then you drink. And the list is just too fucking perfect. Like everything about the list. Hold on, let me pull it up. I have it in here somewhere.
It's I almost feel like you and all the like real left wing, powerhouses should have your own fucking DNC.
Oh Jesus.
Shit on everything that they're doing.
We know that being cringe is bad, so we would never want to be cringe. Anyway, so here we go. Here are the things. If they say these words, you drink. Post office. They've been talking about that nonstop because of what Trump's doing. Soul of America. History. Historic. Existential threat. This president. Let me be clear. Access, as in access to affordable health care or access to a good education. Systemic, systematic, structural, fundamental, fundamentally. If somebody speaks positive of a Clinton, take a drink. This is not who we are. That's a big one I hear a lot. This is not who we are.
Yeah.
Above the law. Something, something Mitch McConnell. Something, something human right. Trump is fill in the blank with whatever pre-written line. Golf, because they're going to attack him for golfing a lot. Yeah. Russia. Birther. If somebody attempts to speak Spanish.
Did anybody try and do that?
Yes, mad people. Oh. Unity and civility. Those were a lot mentioned. Uncharted waters.
Oh.
Democracy itself. And then every time you hear somebody say racist, black lives, lies, and then there's also he does the woke ones, which are performative, Latinx, decolonize, invisibilize, solidarity, interrogate, normalize, privilege, dismantle, erase, lived experience, heteronormative, cultural appropriation, essentialist, trigger. So yeah, Matt Taibbi's hilarious.
Fucked up people. If they played that shit.
Yeah. Oh, you would be totally drunk.
So perfect because it's just they just speak on these talking points. And I don't, how many more days of it is it?
80.
That's what, right.
It finishes on Thursday, so it's 4 days total: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Just so unnecessary, like just so unnecessary.
It's a mess and it's a joke, and like just hide and you'll win. Just hide. That's it. Just go away. Just go away, all of you. I don't want to be reminded of how much I hate these people, and I'm reminded when I see the DNC. Like, I'm reminded that I fucking despise these people every time I see the DNC.
How did Eva Longoria get chosen? Like, when did she fucking prop up as, like, a lefty?
She's, like, activist, too, but, like, there's so many, to go back to the Tim Dillon thing, there's so many, like, B-list actors who are just, like,
opportunists.
I'm going to be super political to be, like, part of my persona. And they're all over the place, and so they're more than happy to, be a mainstream ass Democrat and like parrot all the nonsense. And it's just annoying because it's like, this is what the party has become. The party's like a bunch of wealthy suburbanites and celebrities. Like, that's the party. Whereas like working people are just being totally disrespected because this isn't a party that's really, we have a pandemic and a depression and we can't even get Medicare for all and UBI. Like, they literally are saying no to us about Medicare for all during a pandemic.
They're like, no, no. You can't get any of that, but we'll give you the star of Desperate Housewives.
That's exactly what it is. Yes. And
But you
somebody
like
singing
that
a weird
show.
song. And Billy Relish is going to sing for you. All right, on that note, we love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody stay healthy out there. Peace.